Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving us this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, let's see today where does our side stand. We have mentioned about globalization being the key, and the foreign supermarket chain plays a big role in this in case of globalization. Now the thing is, what are the points we come out from it? What are the points comes out from it? Firstly, what happens without it, and secondly, why developing country needs it. If we kept it very simple and we just stated the points that without the access to foreign supermarket, number one, people's demand are not met. Number two, unemployment rate are increasing. Number three, lacking in learning of working skills. And number four, the middlemen are usually found eating up suppliers' profit. On the other hand, what we have seen, why developing country needs it? Developing country needs it because budget deficit government just can't pour enough money on the infrastructure or subsidize small business, because of which we call it a developing country, and where the access of foreign supermarket is very much necessary. That is why we think that foreign supermarket chain will benefit both the points as we have mentioned above. Now, before we move on, let's go and let's see for some of the rebuttals. As we have seen from the opposition, from the government has mentioned about the access of foreign supermarket chain affecting middle class people in purchase. Honorable Speaker, this is a very basic theory from economy, as we have seen that when the investors are investing in such an area where the natural resources of the domestic area is being utilized to produce fine goods and then sold in the same market of that very domestic area, and in that case those goods are very much affordable, less costly, whereas these are it's very costly for the ones who are demanding it outside the domestic area. As a result, it's pretty much affordable for the middle class people, and it was a very unnecessary point for the government side to raise. Secondly, we have seen that the government side has talked about that the national market is providing enough for the domestic economy. This is another illogical point that we have come and seen the government side standing with, because this debate is about letting the foreign supermarket chain have the access so that a developing country can be developed. In that case, if the national market is already providing enough, then how come a developing country is not being called developed, since it's already providing enough for the domestic economy? And moving on to the third point of the rebuttal, the government side's third speaker did mention about the fact with a very disappointing example about the seafood being imported. Without too much of explanation, I would just like to state that, Honorable Speaker, that the government side is forgetting that this sort of importing of seafood and then later buying it from the market at a very high price is already happening without the presence of foreign supermarket and their access in our domestic region in such developing countries. So we would leave this point up to the government to decide what they're actually trying to make the stand on. Before moving on to the clashes, let me mention that after all this debate, we have seen that the government side has been quite unable to create a perfect model for the proper restriction, that should be the restriction and the forbidding to be done in case of this foreign supermarket chains and their access in the domestic region. So before so as we go for the clashes, in that case we do start about the point about the importance of foreign supermarket chain in globalization. The importance of foreign supermarket chain in globalization is very much important because globalization actually helps in every part of a certain country to cope up with other international regions, so that they can blend in with the trend, learn each other's strategies, go through their skills, and help in develop their own developing countries and bring other establishment and improvements in the economy as well as the developing country itself. That's which actually does prove that how much it's important for us to create an access completely for the foreign supermarket chain in developing countries. Second of all, we have seen that opposition side was a bit confused about whether they're supposed to forbid or just restrict and make them work in their own way. Since they did mention about restricting it instead of barring the access, we believe that even restricting the access of this foreign supermarket chain in the developing countries would hamper and cause trouble for the government itself, because if they're restricting the activities and functions of this foreign supermarket chain in the domestic area, later when the government would be expecting the certain amount of taxes to be paid by the foreign supermarket chain, they will rather avoid that sort of payment, since full access wasn't given to them, and the government will find it being very much threatening, since they will be thinking that if this foreign supermarket chain leave their developing country of the government, it will be causing a lot of trouble, not only for the economy but also for the establishment and the improvement of the skills of the workers, and even of the local businesses that could have got some experience and help from this foreign supermarket chains to establish themselves. Coming up to that point, there's an example that I want to provide. For example, in China, the foreign supermarket chain like Walmart and Tesco did enter in China, but what happened later? They had to close down because the local business of the China came out to be so competitive that Walmart and Tesco had to shut down, and they were sent off from China. As a result, as you can see from this very much information example, that it is not at all dominating over the local businesses, small businesses. Rather, it also helps them to learn and gain experiences, strategies, and knowledge of how to improve themselves on international level as well, to make a developing country more developed. Last but not the least, we can see that these foreign supermarket chains do bring a solution in extracting natural resources and utilize it, which is quite impossible for domestic markets to afford in some cases. Maybe the government itself is not able to afford to spend that much of money for the extraction of such natural resources that might provide us with a lot of benefits for the customers, for the local customers as well. But this foreign supermarket chains do invest that amount for our betterment. So Honorable Speaker, I would like to end my speech by saying that at the end the government was actually unable to show us a proper model in the restriction that are to be made, and what the consequences going to be if this restriction is going to be made. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.